So, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to your online class. Okay, and have you got your breakfast already before you start your class this morning, everyone? Okay, so without further ado, teacher would like to start our lesson today. So, before moving to our lesson, teacher would like you to review some lesson that you have learned yesterday, everyone. You know that you have learned about the voices of tenses. Okay, so teacher would like to strictly review on this part of the grammar. You know that when you familiar with the active tense, that is okay. But when you want to make it into the passive form, you have to learn another form, everyone. So you see here the right side, teacher lists some the form that the active voice and the passive voice. In short, when we talk about the active voice, we mean that the subject is the doers of the action, and when we talk about the passive voice, I mean the subject, the receiver, so they function differently. Therefore, we have different structure as well. Normally, when you use in the passive tense, or passive voice, you have to use the verb three, or to just say that participle. Okay, verb three. Example like lightning hits the Empire State Building 25 times a year. So this is they use the present simple, but they talk about lightning, right? Lightning, the subject that do the action to the Empire State Building, and 25 times years a year. This is just about the time expression. Okay, and when you change it to the passive form, you use like the Empire State Building is hit by lightning. If you don't want to use by lightning, that's okay, but just want to make sure that which which action that the Empire State Building received from. So you have to use like by lightning 25 times a year. And you see the form here, hit. Hit just a irregular verb. Hit, hit, hit. We don't change it at all. Just stay keep the same. And this is about the present simple in the passive and the active. So now we move to the passive, passive, okay, or past active. You see, we didn't, take that factor into account. So this is the negative in the past simple tense. And when you want to move it into the passive form, you have to use that factor. That factor wasn't taken into account by us. We change we to us, right? And we don't use didn't here. We use wasn't taken. Take, took to taken. Okay. Our rule is that in the past, we use was verb plus with verb three, right? So wasn't taken. This is a verb, wasn't verb plus with not, and this is verb three. So we form like this, and this is the present perfect in the active voice. So like lightning has struck. Struck it become from the verb strike, the object before. And when we change it to the passive form, which use like the object has been struck by lightning before. So this is the passive voice tense. So when we want to use it in the passive voice, we have to use been. Okay, been, because of here verb 3 have or has plus with verb 3 we use in the active form in the present perfect, and we change it to the passive. We have to use has been plus with verb 3. Okay, and later on we have like future. Okay, and with the modal verb we use be as well to have. Example like medicine can kill viruses. So when we want to make it into the passive form, we use virus can be killed by medicines. Okay, can be killed. Okay, so now we move to our lesson today, everyone. So we're gonna talk about participle phrases. Okay, participle phrases. Okay, so let draw some attention to the term of participle. Participle, we have like present participle and past participle. Teacher raise up the example of the interesting and interested. Okay. You may be familiar with the adjective like with ed and ing. So when you think of ing and ed ending, it function as a adjective. So we call participle. Okay. When it followed by another word or phrases, we call participle phrases. So bear in mind, everyone, we have present participle and past participle. Okay, so the example you will clear that an interesting story. If we use like an interested story, is it correct, everyone? Story just the thing that no emotion, no feeling. Okay, so we use interesting. So ing form, we form like this. We use with the be plus with the thing or plus with the object. But when we say an interested student, we can say an interesting student. Okay, we say an interested student. So both past participles and present participle can be used as adjective to describe noun. Again, everyone, participle it function as adjective. Okay. You see here like participle phrases also describe noun. They begin with the participle, but they include other information. So participle phrases have slightly different meaning in a sentence, which can usually guess by the context. They often come at the beginning of the sentence, and if so, are followed by a comma. Okay. You probably confused with when we talk about the ing form, we call present participle, and verb 3 we call past participle. But now we move the concept to be adjective, not as a verb. Okay, so you see the meaning. The first one like an action that at the same time, like looking at something to hit. Lightning doesn't care if an object has been struck before. So the full statement, or we can say that the full clause, we have a independent clause and dependent clause. The reason of using the participle, we use it to in reduction or reuse the clause. We make the two clauses to be shorter, and we sell in writing we use this style in order to sell the space as well. So looking for something to hit, lightning doesn't care if an object has been struck before. It means while it looks for something to hit, lightning doesn't care if an object has been struck before. So this is the full clauses. So what we do now, we delete the subject it, and we delete the connector like while, and then we change the looks here to ing. So looking for something to hit. Okay, like this. And the question and the action number 2, action in sequence. So like studied, scientifically, the idea was proven wrong. So the full one mean the idea was studied scientifically and was then proven wrong. So what they have to distract, they have to use the word here like studied, scientifically, and put camera 1, and then they deduct and here and they merge. The subject are the same, like the idea was studied and the idea was then proven wrong. So the subject just the idea, so they can merge it. And anyway, you can taking over human cell viruses, make the cell produce more of them. So after they take over human cell viruses, make the cell produce more of them. So okay, so this is the second idea of the participle. And the last one about the cause and effect reason. Example like expecting more crime, the police ask for extra help. And the full one, the police asked for extra help because they were expecting more crimes. So because they were expecting more crime, this is a part of clause. Okay, this is the part the police asked for extra help. This is the clause. So this is we call independent clause, and start from because here we call the dependent clause. Okay, and the reason that we we merge it and then we use the camera and then we delete because and then we use it as phrases, not a sentence anymore. So now expecting more crimes, modify to we have the word like the police ask for extra help. Okay, so it modify to like to add additional meaning to the police. Okay, so this is just a really short like lesson for you everyone about the participle phrases. Okay, so now we move to the practice. So you see here like write the following sentences using participle phrases. Add camera where necessary. So you see the sentence number 1, like she claimed to be sick and then went home early. So the subject she, and after and we use she as well. But actually the sentence they are we call parallel structure again, parallel structure, and we don't need to repeat the subject. If we use two subject, we don't need to use and, like she claimed to be sick, she then went home early. And now we try to merge it, everyone. We should say went home early. She then claimed to be sick. She got sick first, or she went home first, everyone. So she show the reason that she claimed to be sick first, right? And then went home. So which action did come first? To be sick. Okay, so and then we have to you here like claim to be sick and camera. She then went home earlier. You see here, claiming to be sick, she went home early. Okay, and number 2, the movie was considered too violent, so it was unsuccessful. This is part of cause and effect, right, that you have learned at the moment. So which action that comes first? Whether we can say the movie was considered too violent. Okay, it also got the complete thought, but when you say so it was unsuccessful, this is the incomplete meaning. So when we want to make it into the participle phrases, I mean we make the sentence shorter, so it become considered too violent. The movie was unsuccessful. Okay. The last one, everyone, they take experience into account as they make higher decisions. So we have like making hiring, decisions. They take experience into account, or you can say like taking experience into account, they make hiring decisions, right? So this is the main lesson today, everyone. So after that, teacher have the tip for you, everyone. Like when starting a sentence with a participle phrase, make sure it modify the subject of the main clauses. So as the teacher explained earlier, like the word polish, polish, just the subject of the main clause. So the participle phrase is modified to that polish. Example like studied scientifically, the idea was proven wrong. So the subject mean the idea, and studied scientifically, it modified to the idea. Okay. If the idea was studied, okay, studied scientifically, we prove the idea wrong. So this is not correct because of you see here like the subject is we, right? We prove the idea wrong, so we weren't studied. So this is come to the end of our lesson today, everyone. So if you have any question, you can drop into the group, and anyway you can ask your teacher personally. So teacher would like to say thank you and see you again in the second section. Goodbye, everyone.